Hey everyone, in this video we're going to finish painting all of the bus, but more importantly we're going to lay our floor down, and one that is asked about a lot is what we did to cover the gap between the new door and the bus, so that sort of cavity that goes there. Yeah, how we covered that, so enjoy.
Edges from our 7mm ply that we put on our wall were a little bit ugly, so what we decided to do was get this trim to put over them. It's sort of in a upside down L shape, so the lip sits over the edge, covers the ugly edge of the ply, and just gives it a nice rounded finish. So it's just a piece of I don't know, wood trim from Bunnings. And I've just glued it on and chucked a couple nails in, and yeah, haven't had to do anything else. I had to cut around this a little bit to make it sit flush, but otherwise that's it. She's beautiful. And the last painting begins.
Yeah, so I've just grinded off the little bits that were hanging down from the previous door, just to sort of give this a bit more of a straighter edge. Yeah, now we're going to put some wood around it just to neaten it up and hide the little sort of cavity that's made from the fiberglass shell from the new door.
What I'm doing at the moment is the surrounds for our door. What we decided to do was, we'd read so many things, you know, on the forums and things like that for what people do, and people use, you know, rubber and foam and all sorts of things, but we really wanted it to be wood. The issue that we had is this 3mm wood that we've been using for the rest of our walls was too thick to be able to bend to the curves. So we went to a plywood shop and we actually bought this stuff here. It is super thin. Let me show you. There it is. So it's 0.8mm. It's extremely strong. They call it aircraft ply, so apparently it's used in, you know, planes and things like that to make aircraft. So it's super strong, but it's also super flexible. So what I've done is I've just cut out some pieces which I'm going to attach around the door frame. That way it can curve just like this one at the top. I'll get it to sit in this little crevice here, curve round, tuck it in here. What we're thinking is that we'll pop rivet it down the edges. We don't want to screw it because we don't want to rip the wood apart because it's already very thin. And then in here we might just put some adhesive or silicone and it will just sit in and set inside that. So to cut it, what I needed to do, to show you, it's very windy outside, is I had to put a piece of just scrap wood underneath. That way I didn't rip apart the thin ply as I was going. So this is my scrap piece, just as I've been cutting and making a mess. But otherwise I'm super happy. It was super expensive. That one sheet, which I think was about 1 meter by 1.2 meter, maybe not even that big, was like $90. But it's worth it. We wanted the wood, so it should look really good when it's done. So now we're just putting it in the little slot that I showed you in our door, and we're pop ribbing to the other side. We've already started this one, which you can see, and it's working and it looks good, so yay. Shane's helping me because I sorted it.
Okay, so we're just painting our lounge, and we're going to paint under our bed and sort of everything else that needs a coat of white paint, using the same Taubman's Easy Coat. Interior wall, semi-gloss, white.
So for our door, one thing we didn't touch on in the video is just how we did the corners with the 0.8mm aircraft ply. So as you can see, we just cut a few thin strips and just sort of bent them around and curved them. Doing it in pieces allowed us to get the corners. And then, yeah, a couple little pop rivets, just like we did, and so far it's been really good. We've got a tiny crack here where we obviously strained the wood a little bit too much, but other than that, still looks really good. And just all the way around the edge, just here where we tucked it in, we've just put a bead of silicone as well. The day we happened to do it happened to be really, really humid though, so it dried really quickly, so it's a little bit lumpy, but is what it is, it worked. So I'm about to start waterproofing the floor again for the, second, final time. We did originally waterproof it after we had all the sticky stuff, and because we've been working in the bus, most of it has come off. You can see all the damage, so pretty glad we didn't put floorboards down yet. So here we go.
Alright, so we're just putting the floorboards in. So we've got some Gerflor Senso Rustic. They recommend to not use these wood panels in motorhomes. So we found that out from another viewer after we already bought them. We were already concerned that they weren't going to work before we bought them anyway, but they're significantly cheaper than the ones that the company does recommend. So we just thought we might run the gauntlet and try it. If it doesn't work, well then we'll just fix it after the fact. But yeah, the issue is the temperature. They sort of flex and contract and you get gaps in them and stuff, but
they were so cheap that we're just going to try it anyways. And you know, if one comes up because of the heat or whatever, well, we're going to have spares, we'll just replace it. Eventually, maybe one day down the line, we might look at replacing the whole lot with some better stuff, but right now, it's cheap enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we just bought, they are self-adhesive ones, but we bought some like additional vinyl adhesive to hopefully help. Dunlop vinyl adhesive. So, but yeah, we're just going to lay them all down first and cut the ones that we need to cut to size. Then once the whole floor is covered and right, we'll then lift them up and glue them and stick them down one by one. So not using cabins caravans.
Woo!
It actually says it on the back to not use in a caravan. Who knew?
It's a motorhome.
Alright, so that's the floor just cut and placed into position. We're now going to lift it up, starting at the back and then working our way forward and putting down some adhesive. So we're just using Dunlop vinyl adhesive, which we may or may not have already said, I don't remember. We also have a 4mm V-notch adhesive spreader. We bought these before. We looked on the back that says to use a 1.6mm. We assume 4mm is probably going to be fine. We're just going to make it work. Okay, so that's it for the floor install. We didn't get a lot of good footage of the floor install itself because we were both sort of doing it and there's no way good to set up a camera, so it's all, yeah, can't see what's going on. So we just used that, I don't know what I called it, a scraper or whatever, the 4mm scraper, and you just like paint the glue onto the ground, peel back the protective cover of the floorboard, and just stick the floorboard on top of it. So I think we've had the floorboards down for, I don't know, a year and a half now or so, and they haven't had any issues. They've not flexed or come apart or moved or anything. So yeah, we're really happy we did choose the cheaper floorboards because we haven't had any problem, which, you know, might be because of the glue. It's kind of what we got it for, but yeah, it's been great. So if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe and share, and until next time, see ya.